I demand you come back in my...
Welcome to Movie Zone. This is Tyler. You want to hear our horror recommendation? Okay, so the one that we have this week is called Slither, and it's got that dude that plays Henry in Portrait of a Serial Killer, Michael Rooker, and that dude from Firefly, Nathan Fillion, and that lady from all that Hunger Games stuff, Elizabeth Banks. It's also the first big major film out of director James Gunn. He's going to go on to do some comic book stuff. You may have heard of it. So we start in the small town of Wheelsy. It's full of all sorts of interesting small town characters, like the police chief, Bill, played by Nathan Fillion, Grant, whose last name is Grant too. It's played by Michael Rooker, and Starla, his wife, played by Elizabeth Banks. Now, when we meet our characters, an asteroid from space comes down and smashes into the woods outside of town. Grant's trying to get into his wife Starla's pants, and he isn't having much luck, and we're getting a case of blue balls, so he goes to the local bar to blow off some steam, and he runs into Brenda, and she's a sister of an old flame of his, and they go out in the woods to see if they can do a little hanky-panky, find the sausage, all that stuff, and that's when they stumble upon something gooey and really gross. They find this big, pale, wormy-looking thing, and it shoots a barb into Grant's chest, and we get to see that it travels up to his brain, and starts to take him over. He's like patient zero of something that's going to get pretty nuts.
Oh, that's gross. Oh, come on. Oh. Come on. Grant. Come on.
Wait. What the fuck? God! Dog it!
This thing starts gestating in Grant, and he's got a growing appetite for meat, and it starts him, just buying out the local grocery stores and stuff, all their meats, but he starts, thinking he's got to move on to bigger things. Soon, this thing can't be contained in Grant, and he feels the need to spread out a little bit. Grant goes back to see Brenda, that lady from the bar, and he plants a seed in her, which helps that thing inside of him spread to the whole town. This whole time, Grant's transforming. First it's just boils and bumps and lumps and stuff, but then he starts growing stuff on him, and soon his entire body is turning into something that it doesn't really look like a human being at all. It's more like a giant slug with like bendy parts where there really shouldn't be any kind of bendy parts. And the police chief, Bill, goes to check in with Grant's wife, Starla, about Grant, because Brenda went missing and some other pets and stuff went missing, and people think bad stuff. So Bill sees that Grant, he just didn't right with all the bendy parts, like I said before, and Grant runs off into the night.
What the fuck was that?
Word in a small town, it starts to travel pretty fast, and now people know Grant's on the loose. They don't know about all the crazy stuff yet, but they know he's responsible for some funny business, and the mayor is catching heat about it. The police get a call about some dead animals found, and old Chief Bill thinks he might know where Grant's going to strike next, so they round up a posse with the mayor and Starla and some other, the cops and some local people, and they stake out the spot, which is a cattle rancher's property full of fresh meat for Grant. So they get loaded up to the gills with assault rifles and shotguns. They make sure they can handle what they're going to run into.
Stop right there, you son of a bitch. Now, I don't care what kind of leprosy you got. We need to find that girl. Now, you can make this peaceful, or you can make it hard.
Slither is a great combination of horror and sci-fi with a little dash of zombie thrown in there. I don't think there are many horror movies that don't have some kind of element of sci-fi, because you gotta kind of suspend your disbelief if you think some unstoppable killing machines out there going to be ripping your face off. But I think that what really sets Slither apart from most horror movies is the comedy. Now, it's not the kind of laugh out loud, fall down, slapstick shit that you might think of when you think of comedy, but the dialogue and the background elements of this are what really makes it.
It looks like something that fell off my dick during the war.
You expect Nathan Fillion to be funny, right? He's like a sarcastic player, always plays like a wise ass. And Michael Rooker, you know, he's just always great in everything. But the one who really steals the show is this actor. His name is Greg Henry, and he plays Jack McCready, the town mayor.
Where is the Mr. Pibb? I told your secretary to pack Mr. Pibb. It's the only Coke I like. Goddamn Brenda's floating like a water balloon. The worms driving my friends around like they're goddamn skin cars. People are spitting acid at me, turning you into cottage cheese, and now there's no fucking goddamn Mr. Pibb!
Jesus Christ, Jack, let me get right on it.
I think it'd be obvious to say that Slither owes an obvious tip of the hat to a lot of horror movies that came before it, right? I think fans of the 1986 classic sci-fi horror movie Night of the Creeps, they're going to see the closest similarities between the two movies. You know, if not just how the creatures of both movies are from alien origins, you know, they're aliens and whatnot. You know, they both take the form of slugs that crawl into people's mouths so they can infect the host. And of course, the zombie aspect. But both movies, you know, they also share a lot of the same kind of humor, and they got that gooey, gory kind of goodness to them. One really nice touch about the monsters of this movie is that they have a bit of a hive mind. You know, they have a shared consciousness. So when one of them sees or hears something, that they all do. You know, they all go towards it, and that adds an extra level of creepiness to the whole mix. Now, I thought it was just a really nice touch and helped change things up a bit from the traditional zombie or unstoppable kind of killer horror movie you're used to. Now, if you're looking for a horror movie that's got a different take and does a good mix of horror, you know, sci-fi and comedy, I think Slither's your deal. And if you can get over that this borrows a lot of elements from other horror movies, you know, you could say it's an homage or whatnot, then I think it's safe to say that Slither's a good movie for you, a good pick. So you can find Slither in the letter S part of the horror section right next to Sharon Stone's Sliver.
If I weren't about to shit my pants, I'd be fucking fascinated.